Okay, that takes about 30 seconds here. All right, everybody. We are broadcasting live on YouTube tonight. So if you don't want your image or your voice on YouTube, I ask that you just turn your camera or your microphone off, and then you can still participate in the meeting via text. And you're still here with us. It's I just wanted to put that out there, though. It will be available for replay online. Okay, and we are on, and that is going. We're all set there. Let me mute that. We don't want to hear that. All right. And view. All right, here we go. All right, let's go ahead and give it about 20 more seconds here, though. Thank you, everybody, for coming, though, and it's going to be a good discussion tonight. This is long form. I know some of you have to leave in an hour and a half. That's fine. But just to let the rest of you know, we will go until we're done discussing things tonight. But anyway, hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet. And my name's Ian, KO4EFS, and my co-host tonight is Steve, W9GPI, who is the Emergency Management Coordinator for our Aries team in Lee County. And tonight we're talking hurricanes. Are you ready? And although we're going to talk about all the different aspects of hurricanes and their approach and our preparedness for both our family and for amateur radio, we're going to pay special attention to our technological preparedness. So anyway, I want to start tonight real quick at the top by giving you guys some quick websites and some references that you could use. I am kind of a hurricane buff. And so I'm one of these guys, I love to have resources at my fingertips. So you guys can see the room I'm sitting in here. By the way, I'm looking for screens if anybody's got any. But I'm one of these people that I love to saturate myself in things. And when there's a storm coming, I'm doing things. I'm streaming things. I'm preparing things. I'm setting up things. I drive my wife nuts. I set up camera systems and things to record the storm. And I'm totally a freak when it comes to hurricanes. And so I'm one of these weird people that actually like these damn things. So you just have to forgive me if I seem excited about hurricanes or anything like that. It's because I am. It just so happens that my hobby tends to screw up a lot of people's lives. Okay, I can't help that. I can't make it go away. So don't blame me. Okay, I just want to go through some websites real quick, and I want to start off with the first ones here. These are unofficial websites, and I want to start by exclaiming this. These are two of my favorite websites. I love these guys. I've actually communicated with these guys. They're great. They're not meteorologists. You should get all your planning information from the Emergency Operations Center and your local media. Okay, I want to start with a disclaimer right off the top. These are for people like me that are buffs and they want to go in and find all the data and the tropical maps and the SSTs and all that good stuff. That's what these sites are for. They have little podcasts that go with them. They're not meteorologists, though. I just want to put that out there. But the information generally comes from the same places. Everybody else gets theirs. But when it comes to planning for your family, of course, please do that through the proper sources. The first one is Mike's Weather Page, probably my favorite website in the whole world. Mike's Weather Page, and what I like about Mike's Weather Page is the fact that it's an amazing resource because all you have to do with Mike's Weather Page is just pull it up, and the entire tropical situation is right in front of you. And as it develops and as more storms form out there, all your storms will be in the second column right here. And he doesn't make his own maps. All his maps come from the National Weather Service or from another source that's putting out official maps. But this is a great website because he will stack these maps in here, and they'll have all the different resources you need, and anything you want to see, you just click on. This is all live right now. These are all, there's your live buoy readings. Here's all your different tracks, some really great websites out there. This one's a good one. And he has links to all these different websites right on one website. He even has a link to Windy. Windy is another great website. If you guys haven't used Windy, it's a great website. I can show you that one here too. I don't want to spend too much time on when. We can go back into this at the end because I don't want to take too much time with this at the beginning, but I just want to show you guys there is some amazing websites. This is one of my favorites here. This one's called Windy. It'll actually show you in real time what's going on out there. And then if you look down at the bottom, you can actually advance this in real time based on whichever model you want to use over here. So if I want to use the GFS model, I can click that and then I can advance forward in time. And I can see that disturbance over Brownsville there going in, and I can see the one over there to the east of Bermuda out there starting to back its way towards us, and then eventually I'm sure it's going to go out to sea. But see, you can follow through time and see what it's going to do. And when you have a major storm out there, this is a great resource because you can pull up each of the different models, and then you can run back and forward in time and see what each model thinks that it's going to do. Windy is great. And Windy also has other features like satellite and radar and real-time lightning. Wow, look at that. That's really cool. That's a screwed up satellite or screwed up radar site. But they have great storm tracking. The lightning on here and everything is really good. So that's windy.com. Windy.com. And then, of course, the other one I was showing you that you want is Mike's weather page, which is spaghettimodels.com. And then hurricanecity.com. He is not as putting as much time into it as it used to, but it's kind of cool. Sometimes when a storm's landfalling, he will give you all of the websites and all of the feeds and all that kind of stuff from the city where it's making a landfall. So these are great sites if you're like a buff like me and you really just want to follow the storm and follow it like more of a hobby type thing.
Ian, can I ask a question?
Sure.
It on either one of these websites, does it show storms coming off of Africa?
Yes. On Mike's weather page, when you go to Mike's weather page, he has in the left column here, this is all general data. Like right here, this is a great one. This will show you as far out as you want to go. But what I'm saying is he has basically every map you could ever want on here. You just got to find it. The left ones, all these maps, these are all available maps all the way down the left side. Here's your sea surface temperatures, whatever you want to look at. When it comes to as far as coming across the, through the intertropical convergence zone, he does have maps here that cover all of it. You just have to find which. This is an expansive site. And every one of these leads you to a live map. And so you just have to come in here and find what you want. The other thing is Windy. Windy will definitely do that for you. When it's in tropical mode and you put it back in wind mode here, it does the entire world. And you can see basically it does the entire world. So you'll be able to watch. I actually use this program right here. And by the way, where you click, it will show you local observations, and you can switch that to miles an hour. I actually use this to watch the waves come off Africa, and you can then advance the model forward to see if the model builds if it builds it into something or not. And yeah, I play with this every 6 or 8 hours when the new models come out. You'll find me with this up, running the models and seeing, the Euro's got it going further north, which, by the way, that Euro model is amazing. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions on Mike's weather page or Windy or any of that?
Ian?
Yeah.
Another site I've looked at in the past, and I know I looked at it today. It's called myfoxhurricane.com. It's a commercial site, but that's got a lot of useful information too. It's put out by WTVT in Tampa. So they've got a lot of information on that too. So that's another one you can look at. The white come right up. There it is.
All right, there you go. I didn't even know about that one.
Yep. There you go.
Well, there you go. That's another nice one there. Look at that. So basically the bottom line is find you some really good websites, guys, because there's some really good websites out there. All right, let's keep moving on because I want to get into the emergency management stuff here and turn it over to Steve here in just a minute. The last one I want to do here is there is plenty of other sites out there. The National Hurricane Center, of course, has a lot of resources that are available. And Weather Underground, I know they've been bought out by the Weather Channel, but the Weather Channel hasn't totally made them suck yet. So it's not bad if you want to try it out. And by the way, I don't have any hate for the Weather Channel. It's just it's gotten so commercialized. And of course, your local hurricane websites, your local Aries site, and then of course your Lee County emergency management site. You guys should have all this stuff saved in your favorites. All right, and then I want to go ahead at this point and turn it over to Steve. I'm sure we have a few people in here tonight. There's nearly 30 of us in here. There's probably somebody that we need to talk into joining the team. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Steve to give us a quick overview with the Aries and then let us know where we're at this year.
Where we're at. Okay. Off the top of the head, because I'm not haven't prepared anything for this. Ian gave me a little bit of a heads up, but not to answer the question he just asked. At any rate, the answer is this. Before a storm, what we do is practice our communications capabilities. We look as much as possible to do stuff in the field. One of the things that's very important is that we have HF capability, that people have portable HF capability, because if we were to lose everything here, then one of the means of getting information in and out will be on HF. Locally, we're going to use VHF, primarily VHF voice and VHF WinLink. Depends a little bit on what survives. Ian asked a question, what do we do during the storm? The answer is pray. No radio communications, no nothing. Pray is probably your best bet. And I'll give you a quick one. My Aries team has heard me make this comment, but the rest of you have not heard this comment, so I thought I'd share it with you. I'm from Wisconsin. I've lived all over the country in my lifetime. And I've been through hurricanes, floods, fires, tornadoes, earthquakes, you name it. Been there, done that. Haven't enjoyed a lot of it, but been there and done that. I see Steve Paff is back. Can we actually understand you this time, Steve?
I don't know. How's that? Does that work?
That's much better.
Is that any better?
Yeah, you actually sounded like one of the chipmunks before. It was.
Really, I like the chipmunk voice better.
You know, that happened to me one time with a cell phone, and I took it all over the country trying to get that thing fixed, and nobody could fix it. Sounded like Mickey Mouse.
Yep. Well, this one sounded more like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Okay, we're back. So, given that background, I get to Florida and comes Hurricane Irma, and I'm at the EOC, standing next to the emergency manager on Saturday. You recall Irma arrived on Sunday night. Saturday about 1 o'clock, somewhere in that neck of the woods. And I am literally shaking because I've never been through a hurricane and I have not really a clue as to what to expect. But in my head, I know it's going to be really bad. And I'm standing there shaking, and the emergency manager, Jim Biestad, who had become a fairly good friend, looks at me, he says, Smith, are you okay? I said, I'm scared. I'm really scared. I've never been this scared before, and I've been through a lot of stuff. He says, come to the office. We need to sit down and talk. So we went to the office and sat down. He said, just calm down. And I settled down. He said, okay. First hurricane. I said, yes, sir. He says, okay, 2 things you need to know about hurricanes. First is, no matter what happens, no matter how bad it is not going to be as bad as you are imagining it in your head. So stop thinking about it. Okay, now that makes a lot of sense. So I settled down. I'm an old practical guy from way back. I settled down a little bit. And after I got settled completely, I said, okay, Jim, what's the second thing? Now you have to understand, Biostat was chief of station with the Coast Guard when Katrina hit New Orleans.
Oh,
He's
wow.
been through some of the biggest hurricanes you can imagine, and 6 of them. He's been through 6 major hurricanes. I said, okay, what's the second thing? He says, well, after the first one, the rest of them are a piece of cake.
Great.
I said, okay. So having Irma under the belt, now I'm ready for whatever nature throws at us this year, I hope. But back to the story. The story is
1960. So Irma was not as bad as
oh no, I know that. Irma was not bad at all, period. I understand that. But unless you were down in the Keys, of course, where it was a category 5 when it arrived there. Okay, but the point is, during the rest of the story then is, during the hurricane itself, I don't want anybody on the radio. I don't want anybody on the air. I want you to concentrate on being safe and secure and the whole shot. Our job, if communications goes out, the Aries team's job and the rest of us as amateur radio operator communicators is to provide communication support if systems are down. That is to say, if the cell phone systems are down, and I'm going to go further, and I'm going to say broadcast or TV is down, if the 800 system or the P25 system, depending on what's done between now and the time the storm arrives for the county, is down or impaired, then our job is to provide emergency management with whatever backup they need. Okay? And my boss is the emergency manager. Okay? Our boss is emergency management. We report, after the storm, we report to the logistics operation, which is in charge of, among other things, communications. Okay? And we have to provide whatever communication support they say they need. That's our job. That's what we have to do. I always am asking for people who are interested in helping join the Aries team so that you understand what we're what we're planning, what our reaction is going to be after the storm. But our job is after the storm. Our job is not before the storm. It's not during the storm. It's after the storm. Part of the recovery operation is where we fit in. If you're not a member of the team and you'd like to join us, send me an email, w9gpi@awrl.net, and we'll go through the qualifications. Minimum qualifications. There are some FEMA programs, the ICS 100, 200, 700, 800 that you have to have under your belt to volunteer with Lee County. The good news is, as a Lee County volunteer, we're covered by workman's comp if we are called up. If we simply show up and are not called up, we're not covered. It's that simple. So we have to go through the official steps to make that happen. Yes, let's see, what does this say here? Yeah, all right, this is the story here for us. The in-person meetings, I think the next time we have an in-person meeting will be June. The full-scale one should be June. The way things are going. This last one was on Zoom, and it worked out fairly well. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any questions? Maybe I should say one more thing, a little larger scope here. We do have a formal written plan, an MCOM plan for Aries for Lee County. The Aries team members have copies of that thing. We sent it out as a PDF back in September of last year. And what I'm going to do, and I can't believe I haven't done this, but it didn't occur to me until a little while ago. We don't have that up on our website. So I'm going to add it to the website, and I'll let the club know, the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club members, which is a much bigger coverage list, email list, know where to find that. That details more specifically what we are expected to do and how we will do it following a major storm. Okay, with that, I'm going to shut up. If anybody has any questions, now's the time.
This is KJ4 Whiskey Papa Victor. I have a question.
Robert, go ahead.
Yes. As I recall, there was a change in shelter management in the fact that the Red Cross was not going to be running the shelters, and it was up to the school district with the principal and his staff to run a shelter. Is that still the discussion for 2021?
That, to the best of my knowledge, yes, that is the case. And there's been a lot of training that's been going on to help the school people prepare. And a lot of the county employees have been trained to support the shelter activities as well. One of the things that we, I think maybe enjoy is probably too strong a word, but an advantage that we have as communicators, if we're assigned to a shelter, you are officially part of the shelter staff. So you are in the shelter staff part of the shelter itself. You're not part of the general population in the shelter. And in that sense, at least you're going to be, you'll have more time to think and plan and do stuff that needs to be done as part of the response. That answer your question, Robert?
Yes, and I have one other.
Go ahead.
The other one is, there's been some discussion that the Red Cross is no longer going to be supporting welfare checks in the shelter. Is there any discussion as to whether who's that going to fall upon?
Is Larry Stiles here tonight, or Tom Street? No. My understanding of the situation is that the Red Cross will still be performing those functions. What they've done is changed. They used to have a website called Safe and Well.
Yeah.
I understand that they've stopped doing that, but that doesn't mean that the Red Cross is not going to help families connect after a disaster. And of course, part of the amateur radio community's job will be safe and well messages, health and welfare, we call them. To out of the area families. It is not the prime function of the Aries team. The prime function of the Aries team is to support county communications and the county emergency management to whatever extent they require communication support. After that, then we are available to help with health and welfare stuff. There was something else I wanted to say on that subject before it got away, and it just got away. I hate that when that happens.
Do you anticipate that will be WinLink or radiogram?
I think to the extent, oh, that's what it was. Okay, hang on for a second. To the extent that that's available to us, if WinLink survives, and of course HF WinLink will survive, then yeah, we'll be using WinLink as much as possible. And I commend that to everybody who's listening tonight, who's on this stuff tonight. Get on to the winlink.org website. Download a copy of WinLink Express, put it on your PC, learn how to use it. We have exercises every Saturday on WinLink. You don't need to do it on a radio. You can do it on the internet. But the goal is to become familiar with the program so that if we need you to run a WinLink setup, if we need you to communicate out of the area with WinLink using WinLink capability, then you're going to be ready to go. If you know how to do it and have it connected to a radio, even better. If you don't personally have it connected to a radio, you can back up somebody who does. You can relieve an operator who has the equipment when they need a break. So everybody who knows, the more people who know how to use WinLink, the better. The other thing I was going to say was that for those of you who have family out of area, you have family up north or something like that, pick a person up there. Have somebody identified up there so that if there is a major storm in this area and we lose everything, you can notify that one person up there and say, here's where we are, here's what condition we're in, Here's what we expect over the next couple of days. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then let that person contact everybody else in the family or all your friends and relatives up north who want to know what's going on down here, as opposed to you having to contact a whole bunch of people, because the communication systems are going to be stressed. All right? So please do that. Make that part of your personal plan. Okay, any other questions? Tick, 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 tick. Back to you, Ian.
Okay. Okay. Well, while we've got you, let's do one other thing here. I wanted to just show everybody that has not seen it yet. This is the communications room at the Lee County EOC. And these are some shots I took in a testing session I went to there where we were doing some recruiting. But Steve, I don't know if you want to take the little tour here and show them, or if you want me to do it, but
well, we can take the direct the tour, as it were. The whoops, hold still there. I need a little static stuff here. Stop moving things around.
I'll keep my fingers off of it.
Okay. Picture on the left is just the overview of the room from the door, and to the right of that picture, you're going to see on the desk 2 consoles, which are connected to 5 different radios, and each console is coordinated with the other console. At either console, you can listen to any of the 5 VHF radios that we use to cover the county by way of how we're set up with zones in the county. I'll get to that in a second. Ian, if you don't have the map available, you might want to pop that up at some point, but not right now. Just hang on for a minute. So 2 operators sitting side by side. The consoles are interlocked so that you can't transmit over the top of somebody else, but you have access to all 5 of the radios from either console. Sitting above that right now, that big monitor is APRS. At least it was APRS. At this instant, it's not. I've had to make a change there because of some stuff we've been doing internally. But the idea there was that if somebody comes in from the outside and has APRS capability in their mobile, and as a consequence of the storm, we've lost street signs and identifiers that would normally be in place, we can see the track, we can see where someone is on a map of Lee County and say to them, go 3 more blocks, make a right turn, 2 more blocks after that, make a left turn, and that'll get you to the shelter that we want you to report to for communication support. That sort of thing. That's what that thing is intended for. A little further to the left, there is you can't hardly see it, but there are 2 radios on the shelf there, under the shelf, I should say. One is a fusion radio, digital fusion, and the other one is DMR. Both of those radios are in the EOC. To the left of that, lower is the good move on the picture there, son. To the left of that, lower is the HF radio. It's a big ICOM, and I forget what the model, 7100 or something like that, ICOM radio with WinLink capability, built in, or not built in, but added on. So that's there. And by the way, the Fusion radio also has WinLink capability tied to it. So if we're not using it for Fusion, we can use it for WinLink outgoing or something like that, or even incoming peer-to-peer. The picture on the right now shows the back center of the room. And top, you'll see the white radio. That's marine radio. And I'm not sure why Larry Zimmer put that in there, but I'm assuming that if he figured if there was a flood around the EOC, we might need to communicate to the boats that are bringing us supplies. At any rate, there it is. To the left of that is an 800 megahertz system that is county radio. It's a fully functioning county radio operation. And when P25 gets in, that'll be traded out, I think, for P25. I'm really not sure I want it in there, but it's in there. And again, county emergency management is going to make that decision. I don't make the decision. Ian, have you got a shot further left? There you go. This is our WinLink setup. It's at the EOC. This is the prime WinLink station, the 145.030, which is now set up to handle. That's a fairly. Oh, that's right. You said you were at a test site. I was thinking you were taking a test, but no, you were helping with the testing. Okay. Set up now for 1200 baud packet, 9600 baud packet, and Vera FM. This thing will handle all three incoming and outgoing modes. And it supplements the, we have two other WinLink servers. One is at the Lehigh Regional Medical. The other one's at Bonita Springs Fire. We wanted to put a third one in Cape at the Cape Hospital, but I haven't been able to get them to give me an internet connection there. And I don't blame them one bit because of all the problems with Microsoft, but still trying to work something out. Maybe we can work something out with Cape Emergency Management and put something at a fire station or something out there, so we've got another WinLink setup available to us. Okay, that is the radio room at the EOC. Typically 3 people, typically 3 people manning the thing. And I'd like to say that there are sleeping facilities at the EOC. There are not. We sleep in hallways. We sleep on cots. We sleep on inflatable beds, that sort of thing. It's not the grandest situation in the world. I'll tell you 2 things about Irma that were really great. One was Monday night. You remember Irma came in Sunday night? Monday night, we had Monday Night Football on the big screen in the sit room. That was great. That was a good way to get everybody settled out a little bit. That worked out well. And the other thing was Sandra Tepfumiani, who was planning chief at the time and is now Lee County's emergency manager. And she's great, by the way. She's really a very sharp person. Her husband, I think, is her husband, is I think a classically trained chef. And he was doing some of the cooking during Irma Recovery's operations. And he is a great cook. We didn't eat much, but we had great food. Ah, there's the map. Pull that up again. Coming up center. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with it, for a response, we break the county into 4 districts. As you can see, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Lehigh Acres, and then South County, everything south of Daniels, for all practical purposes. Let's see, I'm sorry, not Daniels, but Gladiolus. There you go. Take Gladiolus and run a line straight east. Those are the 4 areas, and the amateur radio operators in each of those areas will report to net control stations in those areas. And then communications will be from the net control stations to the EOC, as opposed to trying to have everybody communicate with the EOC. That's just untenable. That can't work. So each of the areas will try to solve as many problems as they can in their respective areas. And what they can't handle or need absolute help with beyond what they're capable of, that comes to the EOC. That's the way this whole system is set up. Lower left corner, you see the different frequencies that we use. And you've all heard about you've heard us talk about this ARIES standard frequency list. We respectfully suggest that everybody who has a mobile or a portable radio, a handheld radio, thank you, Ian, program your radios with this layout. And the reason for it is that in a disaster, if you hand your radio off to somebody else, they will know exactly where to find the channel that they need to communicate. So we're trying to get as many people as possible set up with this system. An awful lot of people do have it. For a while, early on, we were actually offering programming of radios. You know, bring in your radio and we program the thing for you. We haven't done that for a while, and it occurs to me maybe we should do that again. We've got a whole bunch of different programming capability scattered amongst the ARIES team. I think I've got, I could program something like 15 different radios using RT Systems programs.
I was going to say, if we all showed up with our computers and our programming cables, I don't think there'd be much out there we couldn't program.
That's probably true. And that's pretty much what we were doing at one point in the past. Okay, remind me to take a crack at that again. All right, now, I said before I'd shut up, and I'm going to try it again. I'll shut up. Thank you, Ian.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions for Steve? Anything about the Aries or anything about this year hurricane season? Anything at all? Come now. Wow, I guess we did good. All right. Does anybody have anything that they would like to discuss regarding hurricanes at this point? Anything on hurricanes?
Well, Ian?
Yeah.
I got a few more websites, a couple of things we want to bring up.
Okay, yeah.
Hurricane on HF, now this is more a wider area and more like when you have a hurricane out in the Caribbean, which of course you want to keep an eye on. The Hurricane Watch Net, hwn.org, is run by the National Hurricane Center, which is only 100 and some miles from here. So they do tests. They run on 14.325 and 7268. They also, as you can see there, have some information as to what storms are coming up. You can see the two suspect areas right now. You might also want to look at the WX4 NHC station over there. They've got I can give you the long URL. It might be easier just to find it. You might have a link from there to it, but it's over at Florida International University, and it's on their website. It's w4ehw.fiu.edu. You can take a look at their station they've got running over there. If they run a test, I'll be here in a few days. I don't know exactly when. I was looking for that information on either 14325 or 7268 to get on there and talk to the National Hurricane Center. And I'm trying to think what else I got here. I lived in I was born in Southwest Florida. I was in Hurricane Donna at age 9. So I went through what Steve did at a much earlier age. But anyway, that's about all I got right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. My Donna was 60, and my mom went through Donna here in Fort Myers.
Yep.
And they had trees falling on the house. And one thing I want to bring up with that's because that brought up one thing I wanted to mention tonight. We always look at hurricanes by strength of the rotating winds. Yeah. That's how we always look at hurricane. It's a Cat 3, it's a Cat 5, it's a Cat 4. But let me tell you what would you rather have? Charlie, which was a little teeny weeny Cat 4 that was moving like 119 miles an hour. Okay. Or would you rather have a Cat 2 that sits over you for 4 days? So, I mean, you really have to kind of look at because I think what a lot of times what people don't add in to a hurricane when they're looking at the severity of a hurricane is the duration of the event. And I think that's probably the biggest missed thing when it comes to people's personal planning. It's only a Cat 3. It's only a Cat 3. You know, if I hear another person say it's only a Cat 3, yeah, but it's huge. Okay, it's Katrina size Cat 3, and it's moving at 4 miles an hour. So it's going to take 3 days to clear the area completely. So there's things like that. So all I'm saying is
you look at the size of the wind field.
Yes.
Because that's always missed. Hurricane Donna, for instance, had hurricane force winds up to 125 miles from the center.
Yep. And it was moving at a snail's pace.
Yeah. And then Charlie was just a few miles. And so was Andrew, and so was Camille. So they're not as big, yet a small hurricane can cause some just unbelievable damage.
Right.
Like I said, Andrew, Camille, and Charlie are great examples of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, don't get fixed on the category. I honestly believe that somehow they need to have, it should be like a category 439 or something, because just putting one number on it doesn't explain what kind of impact that's going to have on an area. Because again, wind field size and duration are two things that are that mean as much as anything else.
Ian,
Yeah.
Storm surge.
are you planning on talking about storm surge as well?
I would love to. Let's do that now.
Oh, okay. Well, keep in mind that the other component here, Ian was talking about wind and duration. The other component is storm surge, which is think of it as a wall of water that's pushed by the wind ahead of the storm. And when Irma was coming, the anticipation, the original track on that thing showed it running up the coastline, up the west coastline of Florida. And the storm surge that they were predicting was somewhere between 15 and 20 feet. And keep in mind that if you're standing on the ground and you're looking at a wall of water coming at you that's 15 feet high, you're probably not going to survive. So one of the things that you have to take into account in the forecast, in the prediction of a storm approaching, is what's the storm surge look like? If the storm surge is 2 or 3 feet and your location, your residence or whatever is 6 feet above sea level, okay, you're probably going to be all right. But if your location is 6 feet above sea level and the storm surge is 15 feet, your house may not be there after the storm. I want you to think about that. If you've seen pictures of Mexico Beach up in the Panhandle after Michael came through, the first half mile or so, maybe a mile in from the beach, there were no structures standing. That's because of storm surge. Yeah. So be conscious of that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you, Ian.
Yeah, I had occasion to be working in Biloxi, Mississippi about 3 weeks after Katrina. I went up there doing some photography work for a client, and I spent 7 days up there, went through all the different areas. And one of the things that shocked me, of course, Slidell shocked me because the water came up so high, they were all stilt houses, and it lifted every single house up off the stilts and carried it away. And when you drove down through Slidell, down along the north end of Lake Pontchartrain there, all you saw for 8 miles was these 10-foot tall pillars, sticks sticking up everywhere. It was a city of sticks. It was absolutely crazy. And then we went to Biloxi, where, like you said, the first 3/4 of a mile of the coastline was all shoved back into rubble, into piles of rubble. And the homes looked like a traffic jam where everybody had rear-ended everybody once you got past the absolute debris. And so, like they say, you hide from wind and you run from water, because there's no surviving that when it comes in. Anyway, did anybody have anything else on that?
Yeah. Biloxi had a 26-foot storm surge from Camille.
Yeah, the most impressive thing, and I have video in my system here, but I don't have it readily available. I actually took video of the casino barges that were moored, 10 miles or whatever out in the international waterway, whatever it is, however many miles out. Somebody can help me with that. And those barges were 7 to 8 blocks inland, sitting where houses used to sit in a neighborhood. A whole entire 5-foot tall casino barge, and it's sitting in one piece, sitting where a neighborhood used to be. Just absolutely amazing. It's just absolutely amazing that what Katrina was an absolutely amazing thing to see up there. When you look at the damage from west of Louisiana all the way into Florida, there was major damage. It was just incredible. All right, who has something next?
In 1972 in Pennsylvania, we had a hurricane called Agnes. And It wasn't a windy hurricane, but the problem was it got over top of us and stalled for days and days. And then finally it moved away and something happened that it came right back. And the flooding we had, Johnstown, you know, all over Pennsylvania was horrific, just devastating.
Yeah, it was just in the last couple of years. Texas had one that sat for days on South Texas. Harvey.
Yeah,
And
Harvey sat on Houston. The other thing too, Ian, you mentioned it before. Don't be concerned about the category number, because if you'll recall, Sandy was not a hurricane. It was a post-tropical cyclone called Superstorm Sandy, but it never classified as a hurricane when it erased the Jersey Shore. I had spent 2.5 weeks in New Jersey living on generator, where my sole job was to spend 8 hours a day getting gasoline. The other thing that Steve mentioned about storm surge is a very good point too, because they say above normally dry ground when they give you this storm prediction surge. Well, where are they measuring that? Because the top of my seawall is normally dry under high winds and high tide, yet my street is normally dry as well. So is it 9 foot at my seawall with a 12-foot elevated house, or is it 9 foot at the street with a 3-foot elevation change where I'm going to lose my building? They need to give a little bit better information, or even better yet, provide a map of their markers. They all have those geo markers out there that they use for calculations. They certainly should have the government work on putting those on some type of a map that we can all reference.
Yeah, and again, duration of the event. If you have that onshore wind that continues for 36 hours, that's going to continue stacking that water inland. And as it does, you're going to go through several high tide cycles. And that's where again, the duration of the event is one of the most important things. And you never even hear the meteorologists talking about it that much. It's crazy. How long is it going to hit my house for, you know? Now, granted, most of your really bad, devastating damage is done in the eye wall. But if you've got a large storm that's moving at 3 miles an hour, you could be in eye wall for an hour and a half. So it's
they were under Dorian for a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, there was the pictures that came out of the Bahamas were absolutely amazing. Amazing, bad.
That place looked like a tornado. It looked like more Oklahoma after the tornado when it got through.
Discussion on the Weather Channel that Southwest Florida is somewhat protected. What I'm wondering about is, for those of you who stayed here more than me, I'm here about, 8 years. What kind of surge we got here that was considered extremely dangerous? I just don't know, but I haven't seen anything with Irma. In case this crazy guy from Weather Channel, what is his name, Rab or something, he predicted 15 feet of surge, and what happened actually, water receded from the Tampa Bay and from Fort Myers, and it never really happened what this guy was saying, so I don't trust him at all.
Well, here's the thing, and does anybody else want to take this? If not, I will. Basically, with storm surge, they always give you the maximum possible storm surge. That's going to be the highest point with the highest amount of winds for the longest amount of time, and that's the calculation they give you. And fortunately, 98% of us will never see that high number that they give out. And unfortunately, that makes it look like the weather guys are always crying wolf out there. He said there was going to be up to 20 foot of storm surge, and it didn't even come up in my canal 3 feet. Well, yeah, but somebody down the road in the next county did see 12 or 13 feet, and you got to be prepared for how bad it could be, because we never know exactly how bad it could be. Here's the other part of that discussion. Where we have a problem here in Southwest Florida, and also what's gotten us off a couple times, is the shape of our coastline. We have to be very careful here, because from say the Cape Hayes Peninsula down through the 10,000 islands, we have kind of a bowl here. It's kind of shaped like this. If we get a storm that sits, a big storm that sits off the coast of Fort Myers, and it starts bringing that onshore wind into Fort Myers, it gets trapped in that shape of that coastline there, and it makes Naples and Fort Myers very susceptible to the stacking of water. That being said, most storms don't produce that big storm surge. But the reason they make such a big deal about it, it's because it's the absolute most deadly part of a hurricane. It kills more people. Look up the Great Galveston Storm of 1900. It's heartbreaking. The storm surge is so deadly. So they make a huge deal about it, because that's, if anything's going to kill you, it's going to be the storm surge. Luckily, most of the time, the storm doesn't hit just right. The winds don't sit over the area just right. And another thing is, it hits on low tide. If you have a storm that hits right at low tide, that's a 3-foot difference right there, depending on the lunar cycle. Whether if it hits at high tide, at the peak of a cycle. So, you've got a difference there too. So, I guess basically to answer your question is you don't see the devastating surge in every storm. But where you see it, it is absolutely the most devastating thing you'll ever see in your life, because it makes the wind and the rain seem like amateur hour. When you start seeing houses stacked on top of houses, stacked on top of houses. And so I think that's it. Does anybody else want to expound upon that?
Yeah, something that happened with Irma. Now, they had said all this worst case scenario and everything. Well, Irma went off to the east a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Irma and Donna did the same thing. They went just a little off east of town, so we missed any storm surge. The worst case scenario is if the Iowa were to come in just north, like it would come on Cape Coral, and throw all that water up the Caloosahatchee, and we'd have a real mess in Fort Myers.
That's true. And that's exactly what happened. Irma was going to go up the East Coast, if you remember. And then at one point, they kept moving that track over to the left. And then eventually it was going to come around Naples, and it was going to come up the coast. Worst case scenario for us. You said, the Weather Channel guy said, we're kind of protected here. We are kind of protected. But the one thing we're really vulnerable for is the one that comes and does the alley-oop around the bottom of the state and comes up the coast, because that starts to stack that water in on the bottom end of the storm, on the right side of the storm. That's what they thought Irma was going to do. And then remember, at the last moment, after it hit the Keys, it jaunted back to the right, which meant it was going to come right up through Lehigh Acres and East Fort Myers. And the track actually took it up through eastern Lee County. When that happened, it took the storm surge out of the equation, because it kept the eye wall over land. It kept the strongest of the winds over land. The storm decreased in strength quicker, lost its power supply off the water, but it also was in a position where the strongest of the winds weren't right next to the coast. They were actually on land. And that's why we never saw that storm surge. Should they have been saying what they were saying? Yes. And I'll tell you why. Literally 1 degree of difference 6 hours ahead of time would have made all the difference in the world with that storm. As it was coming around, had it been off to the left 40 more miles, we could have seen a bad storm surge, nothing like Katrina, but a bad storm surge along Fort Myers Beach on up. So yeah, I think it was warranted, the warnings that went out, because the forecasting had it staying off the coast.
Ian?
Yeah.
I bought a house in Lehigh in August, right before Irma hit.
Right.
In September, we had 4 hours of 160 mile an hour winds. It took out all the trees on the property, took my roof away, took the air conditioner away, and we weren't able to repair and get the house closed until November.
Oh, wow.
So,
oh, Lord. Where was that at?
in Lehigh Acres. I live
Oh,
out
yeah.
in Lehigh Acres, and it came, and there were houses on the right, the left of me didn't have any damage at all, just a little windstorm. But
Well, that brings up, I
tornado.
think you may have had a tornado there.
Oh yeah, tornado, exactly. You got
That's another real hazard in hurricanes is tornadoes.
Yeah, when you see one little small spot, like one or two houses with significant damage that doesn't match everything else, yeah, you had a little tornado in there for sure.
I think
But the eye wall did go over western Lehigh and eastern like Tyson, Buckingham area. My mother was in a house in her home over here in North Fort Myers, and I sent her out to my uncle's house out in Buckingham to get away from the storm, and it ended up going right over him.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's something else to be aware of during the hurricane. You'll have the Storm Prediction Center out in Oklahoma issuing tornado watches.
Yep.
That's something you need to be aware of. Because there's been, anybody remember Hurricane Beulah out in Texas? They had more tornadoes out of that storm than any other hurricane in record. And they had a load of tornadoes.
Yeah, and your tornadoes and hurricanes are generally in your outer feeder band. They're not going to be right in close to the center generally. Not that you won't get a spin up near the center or some kind of microburst or something, but generally speaking, your tornadoes are going to be in that outer band, which could be 40, 60, 70 miles out from the center. And it may be a feeder band that affects your area, even though the storm's not going to affect your area necessarily.
Well, that's the folks in LaPlace, Louisiana. They got one out in EF3 out of, I forget which storm it was out of, but that was a bad one.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody want to talk about anything else with the meteorology of storms? Anything else on that about past storms? All right. Well, let's talk for a minute about the plans. My plans. I know. I'll tell you real quick. My wife and I just went real quick through our plans the other day. I had to add some elements to it because now I'm an amateur radio operator and I've got equipment that needs to be taken down and everything. So I actually have one of my under my shed here. I can actually slide all my antennas, and that's my plan. I'm taking them down. I'm sliding them all underneath there because I got to save them for after the storm. I've got one last antenna that I'll leave up until the winds start getting bad, and then it lays right down, and I can secure it down to the ground. Other than that, that's pretty much where I'm at with that. And then after the storm, I want to mention one other thing, and then we'll go around and see if anybody else wants to tell us about what their plan is. After the storm, I want you to keep one thing in mind. I responded to Hurricane Andrew. I was among some of the first arriving emergency responders into South Florida. As a matter of fact, I responded with emergency management personnel on the comms team, and we set up the trunking system down there the morning after Andrew came through in Florida City. Florida City lost everything. They even lost their government buildings. They lost their police cars, their fire trucks, their ambulances. They lost everything. They had nothing left. The brick houses were laying on the ground. I mean, you talk about it. Andrew, and we could talk about Andrew all day. And it was 30 years ago. Yes, Andrew was kind of a tornado upright or something because, 30 years ago, and we're still talking about Andrew. But I rolled in there with an emergency response team, and we did emergency services for that entire area. There was several remarkable things about that time, and one of them was your radios are going to work really well after a storm. This is a positive thing. It's really bad. It sucks. It's horrible. But with all the power down and all the power lines down and all the trees down and all the leaves ripped off the ones that are still standing and all the metal roofs down and everything ripped down, the radio waves just go, yay, right across the top. It's great. I was able to plug back my vehicle, my fire vehicle. I was able to back it into a spot that I found and key up my mic and talk to Lee Control 160 miles away on 2 meter. And 154 430, which by the way is still being used, simulcast from 800 megahertz, or whatever they're using, that trunk system. But anyway, I was able to make contact because there was no power, there was no trees. I could probably see the tower if I stood up on something. So I just wanted to put that out there. The one good silver lining when this whole thing happens is that our radios will probably work much better for a while.
Just the cell phones don't work so great.
Cell phones are going to be a problem. And I'll give you an experience we had with cell phones. After the storm, we could actually get our cell phones to work. It took a while. We had to go stand on the roof at first, but we could get our cell phones to work and we could make a phone call. And it wasn't but a day or two later, I could start getting some basic internet service and checking emails and stuff like that. The problem we had is as people all returned to the area, what systems they had up couldn't keep up with all the people returning to the area. Cell service actually was worse in day 4, 5, and 6 than it was in 1, 2, and 3. Because we were the only ones here for the first couple of days.
The cell phones were basically useless here after Irma, too.
Yeah, and it depends on company. I know some companies did better than others in different areas. It's all just going to depend. I can't wait to see, I think a lot of our equipment may do pretty well unless it's just a devastating storm. I don't know about our amateur radio repeaters, but I used to when we were doing the government repeater stuff, we used to always rate these things at about a Cat 4. Up to about a Cat 4, you should keep most of your communications infrastructure. But when you start getting up into those upper Cat 4 and those Cat 5 winds, we planned on losing our infrastructure, at least off the tower, if not the whole tower. And when we went into Florida City after Andrew, we saw entire 600-foot freestanders or 400-foot freestanders, whatever they were, laying on their side across highways. It was incredible to see that. I never thought I would see a freestanding tower. You figure those things pretty much they're there, Twisted. I've never seen anything like it. Steel, huge warehouse buildings, like where they build huge things, twisted girders that wouldn't fit inside this room, twisted. I've just never seen anything like it. Andrew, like I said, I went to Katrina. Katrina was all water. The tidal surge was the impressive part of Katrina. That's what was so impressive about Katrina. Andrew, it was the wind. I've never seen, if you've ever can imagine a town that had 200-mile-an-hour winds through the entire town. That's what we had. It was literally
Missouri after the tornado.
It was like Joplin, Missouri after the tornado. The entire Florida City and Homestead and Citro Campesito and all the camps to the south and everything was all devastated. And the brick buildings were actually laying on the ground. I to this day, I've never seen devastation like that from wind. It wasn't tidal. There was no tidal surge in Florida City. There was no tidal surge in Homestead. It was the wind. Public supermarkets destroyed, blown into pieces over fields, entire trailer parks.
Even the National Hurricane Center was torn up.
It actually, the last reading that was got from the National Hurricane Center, I believe, was a wind gust of 185 miles an hour. And it took the weather instruments off the roof of the National Hurricane Center. I guess what I'm trying to say out there is every storm is very, very, very different. You're going to have one that kills people with the rain, like Harvey. You're going to have one that kills people with the surge, like Katrina. And you're going to have one that kills people with the wind, like Andrew. And you just never, and just, you hope to God it's not all three at one time. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. I've had a few unique experiences. I've been a part of and responded to a lot of different hurricanes and stuff. And as bad as Katrina was, the wind damage from Andrew from 29 years ago still leaves the most lasting impression in my mind. It was a tornado. It sure was. Anybody else have anything? All right. Does anybody else have any websites they want to share? Any websites that you use to look up hurricane stuff or anything about weather websites? All right. The ones I gave out earlier, I'll do them again at the end if you missed them. Windy.com, spaghettimodels.com. There's some really good ones out there. I guess we'll finish up with hurricanes. Does anybody else have anything else when it comes to hurricane preparedness? Anything to do with, well, basically anything to do with hurricanes, disaster communications, go boxes, Aries response preparations, tracking resources? Anybody that has anything like that, or anybody that wants to discuss web resources or anything like that, come now.
Yeah, Steve, KC1FLU here. Steve mentioned, made a point before about the APRS system. For those of you that do have mobile radios capable of that, make sure you do turn that on. And for those of you that don't and are going to rely on your cell phone to give you your mapping program and your GPS, make sure you download a local copy of the map to your phone and don't try to rely on the internet to provide it to you. I know that Google Maps allows you to store items on your phone for local area maps. I'm sure other mapping programs do, but make sure that you do download those and store those and refresh them periodically, especially this time of year. Make sure you have a good, fresh, clean copy because they're changing roads all over Southwest Florida. Do not rely on that ability to download and drive at the same time, because that's not going to be there when you're dodging the towers on the ground.
And I will tell you, our biggest challenge in Hurricane Andrew afterwards, the biggest challenge we had is there was not a single street sign left in that town. And do you know what we finally did on day 3? They started, we actually had guys going around and painting the name of the streets at the top of the streets because we didn't know what else to do. Nobody could find anything. At least today, like he said, if you've downloaded your map and you've got it in your phone, the GPS will still work. It's up in space. So it's going to be still working. You're going to be able to find things after a storm. Finding where you're going and finding a route to get there is going to be challenging if you have to move right after a storm hits. We moved we went into Andrew. There was like 10 units we had all going in at one time. And there was several times where we had to find an alternate route around. We had to get out with chainsaws and make it through. And you just never know what to expect. All right. Let's see here. See if we missed anything here. That's all I have on my list for hurricanes. Does anybody have anything else? If not, I'll go through the websites again for everybody.
Yeah, one thing, Ian, about the windy.com. It's a great website. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but I was looking at things you can set up with that. For example, you can look at the world distribution of nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide. If you see, for example, New York, see how much pollution is there due to some of these gases, and compare it to Florida, we are actually in very good shape. You can also look at the dust, for example, that's blown from Sahara. And there is, if I recall correctly, you can set up this windy for different parts of, again, gases. And if you look at China, it's unbelievably contaminated there with carbon dioxide and pollution and so on. So that's amazing what can be done.
Yeah, Windy is one of my favorite websites. I spend a lot of time on Windy because of all the different things. Boy, yeah, look at that over there. Whoa. Wow, the Middle East too. Look at that.
That may be. Do you ever follow the Saharan dust during the hurricane season? I always like to look at that because
Oh yeah.
the dust, of course, will retard the growth of hurricanes. So you want that. That's something you want around. I always crack up laughing when you complain about how often it is because it's dusty in the air because of the Saharan dust. I said, well, that helps to retard the growth of hurricanes. Don't complain about it.
Yeah, I use Windy for everything. I use it for lightning tracking. There's an app. Windy has an amazing app. And I want to show you when you zoom into a storm, do you see the little circles coming out? Now, this is going to blow your mind. These are live. That's the actual sound shockwave coming out from the lightning. And one of the cool things I like to do, because I'm totally a nerd and a geek, you guys shouldn't hang out with me. I like to sit outside when the thunder's about 5 or 10 miles away, and I watch my app, and it'll go, and I'll see the lightning, and then my app will go and make the sound like almost right at the same time the lightning's doing it. And then I'll watch the little circle, and right when the circle gets to my house, I hear the thunder. I'm like, that is really cool. I totally geek out on stuff like this. I probably need help.
I know one thing, I use the old flash bang thing to figure out how far a lightning bolt is away. You know, if I see the flash, then I start counting, once a second and everything. Of course, 5 seconds, it's a mile, and 10 seconds.
Well, I did that for years, counting 1001, 1002. Yeah. You don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I just thought this was really cool. I love Windy. I love this for everything that it does. It does temperature, it does everything. But like I said, the biggest thing for me is during hurricane season is the wind mode, and then you use the predictor bar at the bottom. And like if we were tracking this system here, you could hit this button, and it's going to actually play for you what this model believes that it's going to do, and it's going to play each hour for you. And if this was a storm, I wish I actually had a real storm on here. It looks real impressive because as the storm deepens, it gets into much prettier colors and deeper colors, and you can really watch the storm as it deepens on the predictions that come in from the models. But anyway, that and basically it shows that one making the U-turn and going out and being a fish storm. But see, you can go back and you can change models, change to a different model, and then you can run it again and you can see what that model's going to do. And see, when you got a big storm out there, it's pretty cool because you can run each of these and stop them right at the coast and see where they're each at right at the coast. Oh, I wonder what happened there. I just lost the meeting over on my monitor. Interesting. All right, so Windy will do all kinds of neat stuff. I have not even used all the stuff on here. Like I know there was one storm where I was using, they got a wave predictor on here, which is kind of cool. If you've got a storm coming in, you can this thing has so many cool modes. But if you've got a storm coming in, you can switch to the wave predictor mode. And it also has another one that's very important. And of course, that's your sea surface temperatures. And you can see the legend down here at the bottom. And we've got some pretty warm sea surface temperatures right now going on. And of course, it's got clouds and temperatures and everything else too. But you know what's really cool about this? I don't mean to sound like a total geek, but all I got to do is get my chroma key working, set up my green screen, and I could do weather just like the weather guy. I mean, look at this. This is quality graphics here. I know you can't see it over Zoom, but when you pull it up yourself and look at it, it's digital quality. It's really good graphics. It's stuff that you could literally use on a TV production. Really good stuff. Okay, so that's that. That's Windy. And does any, let's go back and I'll show you real quick for those of you who joined late. And we did have a bunch join late. We were up to 33, I think, at one point tonight. This is my favorite site, Mike's weather page. And again, a quick disclaimer: Mike is not a meteorologist. Mike's a weather buff like me, and he's a pretty smart guy though. And I like to watch his page. And when there's a storm out there, I like to watch his video casts because he likes to really deep dive in, and he keeps disclaiming the whole time, I'm not a meteorologist, but here's what they're saying, here's what this says. And really good stuff. And that's right there. He does them once a day, and then when there's storms out there, he'll go to twice a day or even more often if there's one coming closer. And I find it refreshing. You know, the Weather Channel, when you go to the Weather Channel and you watch their coverage of a storm, it's so commercialized, and they tell you so little scientific data and so much crap. It's always some guy standing out in the storm. Oh, I almost got hit by a piece of debris, but they never really like dive into the models or dive into this or that or get into the science. So I like to watch these guys that are really into it. You know, they always said if you want to find somebody that's not really into something, make them a professional. I find there's a certain meteorologist that I used to work with. I'm not going to say his name, but nice guy. Refused to talk about the weather. He would not. He would come in. I was like, hey, man, how's it going? It's going pretty good. So what do you think about that Euro model? And he put his hand up. Rude. I don't talk about weather. He told me, I don't talk about weather. I'm like, well, that sucks. Every time he come in, I want to talk about the weather, you know, but he don't. Anyway, that's all he does. So he don't want to talk about it no more. It's like I said, anytime you want to make somebody dull and boring on something, make them a professional. All right. But anyway, this website is amazing. He has some great satellite loops, and these thermal loops are really good. This is one you'll start seeing on here that I like. He does this one here. This is great because when this shows you all the different models and what the predictions are for each model on intensity. So in other words, there's one model here that's forecasting it to become a tropical storm. The rest of the models are all forecast weakening. So that's basically what that tells you. But you can see your time at the bottom. You can see your forecast times across the bottom, and you can see your wind speeds across the left. And like I said, this is one of the ones I actually prefer to use because it gives me a lot of different models' opinions all at one time. But there's a lot of different ones I like to use here. And then, of course, he's got the spaghetti plots from the different model runs. Yeah, you guys, how they do this on a lot of these models, they'll run it like 15 times. And all they'll do is change the starting point by about 10 or 15 miles, and they'll run it again. They'll run it again. Change it, run it again. Change it, run it again. And they do that to get a spaghetti plot so they can see, because we don't really know exactly where it is. So they do that so that we can kind of see what the propensity is of the movement. Is it going to go up? Is it whatever? So that's why you'll see something like this. If you notice, each of these runs has a slightly different starting point. And that's why you'll see something like that, like this here. Basically what they did was they ran the same model with a bunch of different starting points.
Those are pretty good agreement. It's the ones that you have just springing out all over the weird place, you know, you don't have much information there.
Yeah, now he has the full-blown spaghetti models on here. He'll have when he has stuff out there, you'll start seeing a lot. And again, this is another site. He's just bringing you to all these different sites. This is Tropical Tidbits, another great website. And here, there's some more of your spaghetti models. These are all different ensembles that they've got.
Ian, how do you know which ones are European? They're supposed to be the better ones.
Yeah, the Euro is the one I use if you're on windy.com. And again, when I do my model runs, I always go to windy.com. Your Euro is right down here. It's your ECMWF, I believe, is the Euro.
Okay.
I'm thinking, am I right on that? Hold on.
Pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And this icon is a new one. That's a new one for this year. Last year we just had the 3, but that's your Euro, and that's your America model. And then that's another one there that only does the short range. And then this is a new one. Looking forward to this one. And yeah, the Euro generally performs the best. I don't know how people that never really hardly ever have to deal with hurricanes built a better model than we do, and we deal with them all the time. But when it comes to model building, they beat our you know what.
It's a global model. It looks at everything all over the world.
Yeah.
It's all in the tide.
Yeah, it's just whatever country it originated, where they're running the model at. That's the only reason we call it the Euro model, is because it's people in Europe that made this and run this, and that's why we call it the Euro model.
It looks at parameters all over the world.
Right, exactly. But when we get a storm out there, you pull up this right here. This is the main page, and then you just start running this forward, and it will show you. You select which model you want. You just run this forward, and it will show you what that model predicts for it. That's how that works. And let me just go down real quick. Some of the other stuff I use on here. I like this one here. This is a nice, wide, expansive view. It basically is visible. It's infrared is what it is. It's mostly infrared satellite. And he's got some great stuff here. If you're into the steering winds and all that kind of stuff, he's got a lot of this kind of stuff where you can go in and really deep dive your steering winds at your different levels and things like that. And your SSTs, of course, very important. Your sea surface temperatures, of course, that your wow, that didn't go where I thought it was going to. Okay. Anyway, your sea surface temperatures are very important because this right here is the gasoline for the storm.
80 is the magic number.
Yep. Yeah, we're seeing 2 systems developing now. The one going into Texas, if it had 36 more hours, it would be a tropical storm. Look at it on the satellite view. I don't know if he's got a good one here. On the visible satellite, let's see if we can see this before we lose the visible satellite because it's getting dark. Look at that. It's a machine, man. It's starting. You can see it. It was starting to get its act together. But the thing is, it's going to move over land here in the next 12 hours, and that's going to put the kibosh on that. This one would have developed into something if there would not have been a land interaction coming up down the pipe. Yeah. And again, where's the lightning? Where's the tornadoes? They're always in those outer feeder bands, not up right by the center. Even on a storm this week. But yeah, here, and then this is the actual, this one's more of an infrared view here. Remember, guys, the difference between, for those of you who don't know, the difference between infrared and visible satellite. Infrared satellite looks down and actually takes a thermal reading of the tops of the clouds, and it creates this image based on how cold the cloud tops are. Thermal is a great way to find out how strong a storm is, because if a storm's really strong, it's going to have very cold cloud tops right near the center. And then you've got your visible satellite. Visible satellite is great because it gives you a lot more definition, It gives you a nice view right down the eye of the storm, and it gives you great views, but it doesn't work at night. So as soon as it starts getting dark, you'll lose your visible, and you have to go to an infrared satellite at night. And that's what we're seeing here. This is an infrared satellite. And on the right side of the infrared satellite, you'll see the scale there. That scale is how cold the cloud tops are. And you can see there that your red cloud tops, like these orange cloud tops here, minus 60. So they're very cold cloud tops. And, you know, the colder the cloud tops, the more energy there is in the storm. And let's see here, other spaghetti models there. This one's great. There's a mission out right now. He will always have these missions in here for you, so you can pull them up and see them. But when the planes are up, this shows you the plane, see them flying right there. Yeah. And this shows you, these are the barometric pressures. What these are probably dropsons. And they'll go out and they'll start dropping these dropson. And what that basically is it's an instrument package that's in a waterproof, shockproof container. And it's actually dropped through a tube in the bottom of the plane. And as it falls through the atmosphere, it gets blown around by the winds at each level. And that's measured using GPS. So they can take those GPS measurements as it's falling, and they can tell all the data from each level as it's coming down. While it's doing that, it's also taking barometric pressure readings on its way down as well. So it's giving them a lot of different readings here. And you can see here, these are barometric pressure readings. That's 1,029.3 inches of mercury. I'm sorry, that's 1,029 millibars of mercury. Thank you very much. I screwed that up. If that was inches of mercury, it would be like 30 point something. And then these are your weather barbs, basically, for your wind, your anemometer readings. And these are showing you winds. And as you know, with these, the barbs are 10, the half barbs are 5. So that's a 15-mile-an-hour wind right there. So not very much going on out there in the way of winds. Also, these barbs will change color too. As the winds get stronger, they'll change into different colors as well. And you can see the little plane right there. He's flying around out there right now trying to find something. But there's no deepening going on out there. I don't think there's not going to be enough time for it to develop.
You know, there's two reconnaissance teams. One that flies out of Tampa, that's NOAA. Then there's the Air Force reconnaissance team that flies out of Keesler Air Force Base at Biloxi.
Exactly. And during a big storm, there could be as many as 4 flight crews out at one time. And there's one plane that's a small plane that all he does is fly and does upper wind readings way out around the storm. That's all he does. And then there's some larger planes that actually fly more down into the storm, the hurricane hunters, if you will. And so neat stuff. And of course, here we've got all the different, this guy, he just has everything you could ever want on here. So just, there's a want for nothing, and you just have to basically go through it yourself. I'm not going to go through every single map. And then, of course, the latest he's got over here on his Facebook feed, and then he does his Facebook Live right here, and he does a neat little show, basically where he will come on and he'll have like it's not going to let me do it. Oh, it's unavailable. Full screen is unavailable right now. Oh yeah, great. Basically, in his little show that he does, he'll come on and he shows map after map after map, and he'll draw lines on the map, and here's what it's doing, and here's where the pressure's going, and it's just deep dive, and that's why I like it. All right, so anyway, there you go. Anybody have any other websites they like to use? No? I was hoping to find me some new websites tonight.
We found one My Fox Hurricane. But
Yes, I like that one. Yes, as a matter of fact, yeah. There's some good ones. In a Hurricane City, do what?
Blitzer tongue is lightning detection.
Yes, and I have that one on SWFL Tech, I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Yeah, you guys know I've got all that kind of stuff over here on the main website. You can just go to propagation and yes, it's under weather. I'm sorry. And then lightning. And I believe this is the one you're talking about. Let's see here. Yes, Blitz tongue. This is an amazing lightning tracker. Of all the ones I've used, I like this one the best. To just put up on an extra screen, and just leave it up because you can watch the lightning come in. There's not a lot of lightning around tonight. Oh, here's some down here.
That's probably where all the noise on HF is coming from tonight.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. So if you're beaming around on your HF and you're hearing a bunch of noise, you can use this and probably figure out why. But that one's pretty good. I've got a bunch of different resources on here under weather. I've got a great weather radar on here that works really good, and you can full screen it. And what I like about this radar is it works really good during hurricane season. This is the same company that the company I work for uses, is how I found it. But you can go in and add all these layers. It's amazing. You can switch to different layers. You can add layers. Like I like the tracking. I like the lightning. You could do weather, severe storms. You can also do your tropical tracks. And then it puts all that right on the map for you. It's a great map. There, see, that's all the warnings. That's all the lightning. There's all the storms popping up. So it's an amazing resource if you're wanting to track storms out there. And all that's right there on the Southwest Florida TechNet site. And if the radar detects rotation, these will actually turn yellow and red depending on the level of the rotation. And they'll show you high wind. They'll show hail. So these little barbs, and you can actually click on them, and it will give you information about what that barb is, what it detected in that spot. Hail moving to the northeast, and exactly when it was detected. So that's a great resource if you're looking for a good weather radar, and that's available right there. And I got some other ones. This hurricane page is going to have real-time hurricane information on it. Once we have real-time hurricane information to put on it, I just haven't. There's nothing really going on out there right now, so I haven't put anything on there. All right, let's go ahead and end the hurricane part. Does anybody else have any hurricane stuff? We beat it to death. Anything else on hurricanes? Hello, hello, love. Anything else on hurricanes?
I'm sure there'll be more later on.
Well, yeah, and we can always come back to it. Okay. While we're here, let's go. I normally do this. Is there any contests going on this weekend? Let's take a look at that real quick.
Yeah, the Hamcation QSO party is this weekend. Invention QSO party, I'm sorry.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yep. Starts at 8 tomorrow morning and it's for 12 hours.
Oh, it's just a one-day deal. There it is.
One-day deal.
Okay, so yeah, 12 Zulu. So that's, yeah, it's 8 here. It's a sideband, so it doesn't exclude dyslexic folks like me. Nice. Goes all the way down to 10. There might be some crazy openings on 10 tomorrow. When the magic.
A little rambling on 10 today. I was listening to it for a brief time. I went to get on the SST, which is CW, but I went to check all the way up and down the spectrum to see if there was anything going on. I was able to hear some rumbling and grumbling up on 10 meters. So there may be some occasional antennas.
10 is a band where, you know, the solar activity can help you on 10, but also it's close enough you can get sporadic E on 10. So 10's kind of a weird band. But I've actually made some neat contacts on 10 when it opens up just right. So anyway, so there we go. So there's the 3 power settings as usual. 1 point per Q zone, total scores. Yeah, okay, it's all pretty standard stuff.
Contract WAPI, which is the Invention Club Station, whatever it is, the Amateur Radio Association.
I might do this tomorrow.
I'm going to start out early in the morning because I think I had better luck on 40 meters starting out.
Yeah.
40 was lousy today.
20's been lousy for 2 weeks. I'm starting to think it's my antenna.
No, not your antenna. It's lousy here too.
Typical exchange will be a signal report and the first year you attended Hamvention. So I guess it'd be 01 for me.
If you went in 01, 2001, that would be your exchange.
I did a phone contest a while back, and one of the things you had to give in your exchange was the year you got your amateur radio license.
Yeah.
So my exchange was KO4 EFS 20, and then Florida, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I actually made contact with the guy that he was 24.
Yeah.
So I was like, so you've been a ham radio operator like 96 years longer than me or something. I don't know, some crazy.
That's crazy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was like, and every time I would call somebody, they'd be like, "Oh wow, welcome to ham radio," because I was like, nobody was on there with a 20. I mean, everybody was like, 99 or 04 or whatever. But I'm trying to see what the exchange is.
The exchange would be you did your call and then your signal report and the year that you went to Hamvention, and then let's see, I guess it's your call.
Huh. Yeah, if you never attended, it's 2021. So I guess it would be 5'9".
Yeah.
I don't get the whole 5'9" thing, but let's just leave that alone for right now. When I yell at you for 10 minutes to get your call sign, you're not 5'9". Okay. Okay. Anyway.
That's good for all.
Yeah, I guess whatever. So everybody's 5'9". It's so bad that my reporting software puts the 5'9" in for me.
N1MM does that.
Yeah, that's what I use. And it puts it in for me. I'm like, okay, and you're 5'9". You're 5'9" because my software says so.
Although you can actually go up there and change it, but that takes some effort.
Yeah, why would I do that?
Yeah. Why should I do that at all?
It is, I don't pay attention to it, but it is the good thing. Everybody complains about FT8 sucks. At least FT8 is giving a real signal report that's logged.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually know somewhat. I mean, it's an audio signal report, but it's a signal report. So anyway, so I guess that's the only one we got. The only real contest going on is that one.
And next weekend, let's see, Memorial Day weekend, you got the CQ Worldwide WPX CW contest, which you probably won't like.
Yeah, when it comes to CW, I'm like really boo-hiss. That stuff it kept me out of ham radio for so long that I couldn't possibly warm up to it now. All right, so next week,
But there's some other stuff too, I'm sure.
the CQ Worldwide, that's the one you were talking about.
That's why I talked about.
But that one discriminates against people with dyslexia. So I won't be able to do that one, unfortunately. Feld Hell Sprint and Day of and Day of the YLs contest. And that's it. Until we get to June 4th anyway. Oh, well. I might do that one tomorrow, though. It sounds like, and I'm gonna tell you guys something. I do the contest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not in it to win it. I don't care. I'm not gonna win anything. All right. I suck at it. I'm doing it for the experience, but I'll be honest with you. I'm doing it because my logbook, I'm getting digital contacts all the time, but I don't get phone contacts at all. I can't make a phone. I can spend 2 hours here and not make a phone contact. But if I go at a certain time when they're doing a certain contest and I learn the exchange and everything, a lot of the contests, you don't even have to turn a log in if you don't want. I try to, because that's part of the experience thing I'm trying to gain, is figuring out the log and figuring out how to send a log. But I think it's important because my thing is I'm trying to fill my log with phone contacts. So it's become the only way I'm getting phone contacts is through contesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
works.
You'll find people on the air. Because I was on
Right.
this afternoon and there was hardly anybody on.
Not only is there people on the air, but they want to talk to you.
Yeah. Which is a nice feature.
I mean, both at the same time. Come on, that's awesome. So, that's why when I do contesting, it's because I'm looking for concentrations of people on the air and I'm looking to practice. I always start out for the first 4 or 5 hours chasing people, chasing CQers around, hunting and pouncing, I think is what you call it.
Yeah.
And then usually towards the end of the contest, as people have all gotten all the other people, and I've gone up and down 15 times and I've already gotten everybody that's calling, at some point I'll realize that it's kind of changed a little bit out there and it's the last 3 hours of the contest. So I'll go find me a frequency with my barefoot, and I'll start calling me some CQ, and I like to work about an hour of it and see if I can get me some stations. And I usually can get some, and they're usually ones that I didn't get already because I was only hunting before, and now I'm actually calling CQ now. So I'm getting the other group of people.
Yeah,
So
you need to have a dominant signal to do that, or you need to just be doing it when somebody is desperate toward the end of the contest to make contact.
And I'm running barefoot 100 watts with a wire. So I wait till towards the end when people are desperate, and there's plenty of clear frequencies, and I can just go and start calling CQ, and you will find them, And I find it's a good way to pick up 10 or 15 extras at the end because you're getting those people that were out there hunting the whole day with you. They were all they're still on the hunting side. You're now over on the CQing side and you're getting them now. It's kind of the same way with FT8, changing sides of the street. Now you're talking to a whole new group of people by just switching. You're switching from evens to odds, basically. Yeah.
Almost like changing names.
Oh man. And the Broadcastify project's going pretty good. I'm having some issues, but I will tell you the neat thing about it so far for me is that I'm learning a lot about the systems and how they work and everything. But I do have 3 audio feeds up, and they are stable. I have one that's not stable yet. I have 2 that are currently stable. I'm hoping that they stay that way, and I get that 3rd one figured out. But anyway, here's what it looks like. This is, if you go to the website, You can also get these on policescanner.com. A police scanner is a app on your phone, and I suggest everybody get that. You can hear amateur radio, police, fire, railroads, pretty much everybody on here. But it's, you can see there, that's what our I know we're on the other screen and it's hard to see it, but basically it's a you can see there, it's basically an app that has all the local stuff. And one of the things I like about this is you can select this button up at the top, and of course it's not going to do it now, and it will give you nearby scanners. And you know what's cool about nearby scanners is it lists them by distance. See, look, there's all of ours come up, of course, on there. There's the amateur radio scanners, Lee County Fire EMS, Charlotte County Sheriff's Department. There's different ones that come up. So when you go to another town, if you pull into Tampa, you can just pull this app up and literally search for the closest scanners, and it will pull them right up, so you can hear what's going on in your area and see what's available. The other thing I want to show you on this, the other feature that is amazing on this is called the top 50 scanners. Oh, and look who it is. It's Indianapolis. Any surprises there? But basically, this gives you the top 50 scanners by listeners. Notice there's the listeners, 547 listeners, 430 listeners. What's great about this is you can take this app. If you're bored 1 minute, you need to kill 10 minutes, go to the top 50 scanners and see what's going on out there. And a lot of times there'll be a police pursuit going on, or there'll be a standoff going on, or there'll be a big fire or whatever. And that scanner will ascend quickly up to the top of the list, and you'll be able to see what's going on. So it's cool on multiple levels because it's amateur radio stuff on there too, but it's also a lot of neat police, fire, and EMS stuff on there as well. Let's see here.
I thought about getting a scanner so I could listen to Fort Myers and Lee County. I don't know which type to get yet. I need to find out what their system is first.
Well, you know, they have somebody streaming Lee County here in Lee County on Broadcastify, but the stream sounds so piss poor you can't even listen to it.
Yeah.
It needs to be fixed. I don't know who it is. All right. Let's see here. What else did we have?
You talk about being a weather geek. Do you have a local weather station there? I mean, like you run an anemometer and thermometer and all that stuff?
No, it's on the list, but it's not very high on the list right now. I've got a lot of other things I'm doing, but I do plan to provide a weather station here eventually.
Yeah, I was just wondering what kind. I'm looking at that right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to get, and I'm not sure yet.
You know, Matt Devitt was telling me just like 3 days ago, the one he bought, and he said that the price was really reasonable, and he put it up, and it's a professional rig. It's really good. Let me try to find that for you. I'll try to get that. Yeah. But yeah, he was just telling me about that just the other day, that there was this one.
I've been looking at the Davis and the Peak Brothers and all of those, just trying to figure out what I want to do. So there's advantages and disadvantages to each and all that. Plus, I'd kind of like to have a lightning detector, little box that squawks when there's lightning between 20 and 40 miles. I'm looking for something like that too.
Now that can be achieved through the internet, through websites. I know that, for instance, my lightning warning that I get here at the shack is on Grid Tracker. I always have FT8 up on one of my computers. I always have FT8 up running 24 hours a day. Even if I'm not using it, it's still collecting PSK data. So it's always up. And the audio is always up because I use the audio alerts. You can set it to say lightning detected, or it will play a lightning sound for you. You can pick what you want. And I have mine set for like 40 miles or whatever, and it works great. You know, so I've kind of got that already, but But yeah, weather station. I definitely want to do a weather station.
Yeah.
I had one for a while years ago when I lived in Lehigh for about a year, and I had one up out there, and it died, and it only lasted about a year, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna, if I have to buy $150 weather station once a year, I'm not gonna bother. But that was that was like 20 years ago. So
You might as well get you a decent one, man, if they don't last.
yeah.
Like
Well, this was a long time ago, and they're building them a lot better now than they used to. So
yeah. I'd like to get one and get on the CW Ops thing. That's the Citizens Weather Observer program. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you could say you could do with that like you do your scanner. You're actually putting it online with the weather data instead of audio or something.
right.
I find that the sun's really hard on them down here.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the thing. You got to buy a decent quality one, because the sun will just tear it up. Not to mention the wind and everything else. This is a rough area for anything outside.
All right, I'm taking a quick peek at the bands here, and wow, I am very surprised that 6 meters, believe it or not, 6 meters is still kind of open out there. That's kind of surprising, but sure enough, 6 meters. That's the current 6 meter map right now.
Wow.
On just FT8, just the last 1 hour. Now, if I go to 15 minutes, this will truly tell us if it's still open. Yeah, look at that. That's 15 minutes.
What's that
So-
from Puerto Rico? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Bermuda on 6 yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. 40's coming across the Atlantic, of course. But see, 20 sucks. You should see 20 all over Japan right now and coming out. And 20 just sucks lately.
Oh, what's the matter with it?
It's a crap band. I don't know what the deal is with it. There was a time when 20 was one of my best bands.
Yeah,
And it just like the last couple weeks, it's just crap.
it's been crap the last 2 weeks.
Look, that's nothing. Look at that. That's nothing for FT8 traffic right there. Nothing. Especially considering earlier. Now, see, right now, the geomagnetic field is settled down. The sporadic E is settling down, and it looks like this. Now, I want to show you guys something from earlier. If I can get it to do it here. Let me get back to my, I don't know where my slide presentation went. Let me find it. But, oh, there it is. View, present. That was about 3 hours ago when the geomagnetic field was going crazy and the sporadic E was running wide open. Look at the top. Look at what the #1 band is. 6 meters. I thought that was crazy. Now, notice 20 meters is where all the long communications are. And notice that 6 meters is all short communications. Notice you don't even see that many red lines. It's mostly just red dots. What that indicates is it's mostly short hop communication. The yellow is all longer hops. But I was just very impressed by that. That was just before the net tonight. I captured that about 7:15 or so tonight. And that's the FT8. And the other thing I wanted to show you guys was there it is. There's the poor man's tower, as I call it. That's my tower. And just to kind of give you a little tour, see this bent piece of PVC right here?
Actually, I don't. I still see the map.
Oh, what the hell?
Let's see. PSKreporter.info.
Oh, it says your screen sharing is paused. Well, why would it do that?
Okay, now you flip back to where it was before.
There we go. All right, now we can do it this way.
There you
Yeah.
go. That looks
All
like
right.
it done.
Yeah, at the bottom here, see this like this bent piece of double PVC right here?
Yeah.
Notice the ladder line right there? That's my wire. That's my dipole, my non-specific link, specific link dipole wire. And so that's that. And then above that, there's my rotor sitting there. And then here I've got my 6-meter beam that I just put up there. 5-element. It's an H2 5-meter beam, 5-element, 6-meter beam. And there's my driven element with my hairpin turn. And I told you guys last week I took that piece off that I didn't know what it was. This thing SWRs out perfectly in the shack. It's like 1-to-1. So I don't know what that piece was, but it can't be important. It's like when you get done working, like get done doing brakes on your car and you got 5 parts left over. They can't be that important. It stops, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I took that piece off that sat right there, and now all I got on there is the hairpin turn. SWR is perfect. Above that, I've got one of my security cameras. So, you know, if we got a tower cam at work, I had to have one at home. So we got a tower cam. As my wife calls it, the Dramamine cam. Because you can imagine what this camera looks like on a windy day, like the last 3 days.
Yeah.
The whole day, it's up there going like, it looks like you're on a ship at
Yeah.
sea, and that one camera's going back and forth. And then above that, I've got, she calls it the Dramamine cam. But anyway, above that is my 2 7-element Yagis that I built myself out of PVC. And with those, I get 60 miles to Vernon, no problem, with full quieting. And then above that is where my 70 centimeter, or if we were in England, it would be, that's where my 70 Sims would go. And it is, it's not up there right now because it's not working right. And I took it down. But I'm thinking about putting up there, I've got a Ringo Ranger, 2-meter Ringo Ranger that I'm thinking about putting up there. But anyway, I'm not sure. I also may just put a 70 centimeter beam back up there. I like having a beam on 70 centimeters, you know. But the problem is this feed line for my 70 centimeter is crap. I got to buy that really good feed line for 70 centimeter, you know, and I don't have it. I forget the name of it. LM something.
LR 400 or better.
Yeah, there you go.
600 probably.
That 70 centimeters is some finicky stuff.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's,
Probably
I want.
most of your signal.
Yep. But anyway, there's the other view. You can see my wire down here at the bottom. And then I know I'm getting some interaction because I went up there yesterday. This is how dedicated I am. I got home yesterday at 6:50-ish. We had a recorded segment, so I got home a little early yesterday. I went up there with my wrench and loosened those bolts up and turned that thing so that it was vertically polarized so I could check in on the 50.200 net up in Charlotte County. And I managed for the first time to check in, but it wasn't that good. And I think it wasn't that good because when I turn this and make it vertically polarized, the whole top of my beam is within the pattern.
Yeah.
And there's probably some interaction with my Yagi up here too, my Yagis up here too, but not too bad. But I think the fact that I've got 3 foot of the top of my tower stuck in the pattern, I think is going to ruin me on the vertically polarized. I think when it's horizontally polarized, it's not as bad. So I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, I've always heard antennas don't make good neighbors. You put them close together,
No.
they don't get along too good.
Well, and you have to also understand something. I only use one of these at a time.
Yeah.
I would never have this one up here hooked to my 2-meter rig while I'm transmitting on 6 meters down here. I'd end up blowing it up. I mean, I just, it's too close. I don't know if you guys know this or not. I've been told by several hams, and I've heeded the warning. 50 does not play well with your VHF equipment. If you've got 50 on your HF rig and you're doing a lot of transmitting with it and you're blowing it by your 2-meter antenna, you will screw up the receive side on your cheap 2-meter, like your cheap Chinese radio that you use to pick up nets and stuff. You'll screw it up with that 6-meter. I've been told that by 2 or 3 different hams, and so I heed the warning on that. And I have a Ringo out here on the corner of the property that I leave hooked up all the time, and I never point the beam directly over in that corner of my property. The corner of my property would be up towards Nova Scotia and up towards Greenland, so I don't really have to go that way very often. All right, so anything else on that? I don't know. This is my first HF beam, and it's cool. I like it. I like that it really excludes. It's really good. When I shoot that thing north and I let it sit there on 6 meters for a while, I will go over to PSK Reporter and it shows like a cone right where my beam's facing. And that's awesome because that means it's working perfectly. It's only picking up people in front of it. It's not picking up anything behind it or on the sides. And it's really, really good. So I think that's great. I mean, I guess it's working great. The bad news is if it's facing the wrong direction, I won't get you. All right. Anything else? Let's open it up for open topics. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up tonight or discuss? Hey, Josephson, KM4OVZ. Him and I have been doing a lot of talking lately about these streams that we've got up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you very loud and clear.
Awesome. I have, hold on one second. I got audio blasting in my ear from my actual radio. Okay, I'm here. What do you want to know?
Nothing. We're just saying hi.
Well, hi.
Hey, I just was talking about the fact that, as a matter of fact, let's mention real quick, you just put a beam up.
I sure did. I got me a homemade beam on a 30-foot pole.
I was trying to see, I think I have a picture of that. Do you mind if I share a picture of it?
Yeah, well, hold on. If there's one with people in it, if you have one of...
there's not. I don't think it has people. I'll check it. I don't think it does though, but it's no big deal anyway. I just
well, you can show it if it's just the one of without people in it.
Okay.
I think I sent you the one without people. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that one doesn't have anybody in it. Let me just check this other one real quick before I put it up. Okay, that one does have people. So what I'm going to do is just leave it set like that, and I'll share this with them. The bottom of this one has folks in it, so I'll just put it like that. That's what the top looks like.
We go to, yeah. Because I wish I had a better picture of this thing. I took one this morning that was really good.
That I would love to see. That thing you said you're reaching Miami with that little 70-centimeter beam. Look at that thing. What is it? 12 element, 14 element?
Yeah, it's got 12 directors.
I love that thing. And then the other picture here doesn't have anybody in it, so I can go up here. That's how you got it mounted to your swing there.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool. He just bought this pole yesterday. There's where the standoffs go. And I know he's not running it at full height because he doesn't have standoffs on it yet. But and what'd you say that was? A 30-foot, 100 and what?
Yeah, it's a 30-foot tall push-up pole.
Where did you get it?
I got it from a company called Lightning Wireless. They have a store nearby to us, and we actually the sales guy was over telling us about some commercial radios, like business radios, and I mentioned to him that I was a ham and I was trying to put up a tower, and he was like, well, I got this tower in the back, and I was like, all right, I went right over there and got it. It cost $130, so it's a very good deal.
Yeah, that's
And
not
it's
bad at all.
fantastic too. Even with that big antenna on it, it's been really windy here all day. It doesn't even bend like hardly at all.
You don't have any guy wires on it either.
No, I don't. I'm not putting it up to full height until I get guy wires.
Yeah, you should be able to put 2 or 3 different things up there once you get guide wires on it too.
That's what I'm hoping. I want to put the satellite antenna and maybe a couple more 2-meter, 70-centimeter dipoles for like broadcast streams or something.
Yep. Or I'll tell you, you really want to get crazy. Get you a second one of those 70-centimeter dipoles, or the 70-centimeter Yagi you got. Get a second one that's identical, and make you 2 identical length feed lines, and put a splitter on there, and you can actually double your gain.
Double. I'd have like 26 decibels of gain.
Yeah. Well, talk to Key West on that thing.
Talk
I
to Orlando.
like 70 because 70's finicky. If you can get 70 to work, you can do anything with HF. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
70's finicky.
Yeah,
I
the
know-
only issue I have now is with the coax being a pretty high loss. It's 3.3 decibels lost per 100 feet. So everything I run through it right now is at a loss of 3.3 dB.
So you're gaining a lot with your Yagi, and then you're losing it back off on your feed line. See, I just ordered me. That's my big thing is feed line. I've got mine up there with a 50-foot piece of cheap feed line that I bought, and it wasn't long enough. So I've got a 20-foot pigtail on the end of that. It's a low loss, thick piece of pigtail I bought at the swap shop. But I got a barrel connector and all that. So this week I was able to just go ahead and get a 75-foot piece of slightly better cable. So I have one continuous run from my 6-meter all the way into my radio. And the neat thing about my 6-meter beam, and it's also with your 70-centimeter with a lot of the different ones, I don't need to worry about a tuner at all with that thing. My beam is perfect. So when I put it up there and I hook it up to my radio, I hook it directly into the radio, and I turn off the tuners and everything, and I run it right off the radio, and it shows perfectly SWR on the radio. I love that.
Wow.
I'm so sick of tuners. I'm sick of tuners, dude. They suck. I mean, so I'm always trying to find it, dial in, and you know, and I see people with it. I just press a button and mine tunes. Yeah, that's great. I don't know. Mine doesn't like half the bands out there. Like 17. Mine just likes to take a pass on 17. I go to 17 and mine's like, I don't like 17. 15 I'll do. 20 I'll do. 17 I don't do. I hate tuners.
Wow.
I don't know. But anyway, I hope that I figure all that out one day. I want to I've got a nice antenna here that someone gave me. It's a trap vertical. It's a 5-trap vertical with a ring in the middle, and I don't even know what kind it is exactly. But the problem is, the SWR is really bad everywhere, which tells me it's shorting out, or there's a continuity issue completely. So I'm taking that thing down this weekend, and I'm taking it completely apart. And if I can't figure out why that thing doesn't get a good SWR, I'm going to make a single band antenna out of it. You watch. I'm going to make like a 15-meter antenna out of it or something. I'm going to do something crazy. Yeah, it's literally I'm just going to make a single band antenna out of it. And I'm going to have it perfectly tuned on that one frequency that I want. But anyway.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. I love playing with it. I'll tell you what, of all the things I've done, antennas are where my love's at. I love antennas. I could play with them all day long.
I'll tell you what, I've got these inset half-wave antennas here, and I love those things.
What is it?
Inset half-wave.
Oh, yeah. You've told me about those.
Yeah.
That's probably the next one I'm going to buy is one of those.
Well, you can build it just as easily. Just go on YouTube and look at videos of Steve Ellington. And I think it's something like M4LQ. Look at his videos. He'll describe for you how to build them and everything. Plus, he goes through and reviews the commercial models out there. And I've got a commercial one. I've got a homebrew. The commercial one goes down to 80 meters, and then the homebrew one is 40 through 10. Then I noticed the ARRL has one that they're selling a kit for field day, which is just about like the one I built here eons ago, back when I was still over next door. I kind of laughed at that. I thought, geez, it's like they stole my little thing. But you find Steve Ellington's videos on YouTube, and he'll tell you how to build the thing. And it's about equivalent to, the neat thing about them is on the fundamental band, they are just about the same as a dipole. But with one of these, like one for 40 can also do 20, 15, and 10. Oh, there you go. There's the transform.
And that's, yeah, Steve Ellington. There's his page right there. You guys can see it.
Yeah, Steve Ellington. I always remember him by calling him the Duke of the Infed Halfway. And then I just used Duke to jump off of Duke Ellington. And I remember Steve Ellington.
Yep. Well, so far he's got something there I could build. I could almost make it look that pretty.
I've got a bunch of those boxes. You can get them at Home Depot or Lowe's.
And that's just a 2-gang outdoor box, I think.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And it's just an outdoor box. And you can buy those toys. You get, well, he tells you where you can get them. I get them from a guy up in Clearwater who's called W8DIZ. He's got a little store up there called Kits and Parts. So I get those from him, but you can also get them from Mauser and a bunch of other sources. It's a 240-43 core. And I use, like he did, I used number 14 magnet line, which I get from this outfit across the state. What is that called? Marlon P. Jones and Associates over there. He's got, he was at the Orlando Hamcation about 3 years ago. That's how I discovered it. But yeah, that, you can use that on, he's got a 100-puff cap in there someplace. I don't see it right now, but he describes in detail how he builds it and everything. It's pretty easy. I think he built that one out of 52 material. Check that out. He said 52 on there. Usually build them out of 43. But
Yeah, there he's winding it. He's getting ready to wind it there.
oh, it's funny to watch him wind this thing.
Now, when you build this thing and you stick it out there, kind of give me an idea, what's the SWR like on something like this? Is it?
Well, okay, the old formula, 468 by frequency in megahertz is your free. That's what you use. You can cut that antenna for any band any frequency you want. I typically cut it for 7 megahertz. That way you can use it on 14 and 21 and 28. But you can also cut it for the 3.5 band, and then and the reason for the capacitor is to keep the so that you've got a decent. It loads down where your resonance is at the higher bands. So you instead of being way up in the upper part of 10 meters, you're actually someplace where you can operate.
Right.
But, now these are cool because they're simple. They're very stealthy. I mean, if you don't have, if you're in a homeowner association, I know you're not, but a lot of people are. You can very easily put one up, and it's not your typical compromise antenna. It's as good as a halfway dipole.
Right.
So of course, you get on up to to higher bands, you're going to get even better results. So I've been having a lot of fun with mine. I've been using it for contests and so on. I noticed she's got a review in there. I've got my antenna's infed halfway is 8010, which you see there. David Casper does a review on that. But Ellington does that too. He does a review on that, but then he turned around and figured out how it all works and everything, built for you. And he was 33. Some people have been trying 52 material, but it's expensive. Oh, he's got a free down there. That'll take you up to about 500 watts. The more cores, the more power you can have.
I don't see a need to go high wattage. When I start, now I got to be honest with you. I was the guy growing up that was in the paper because of Christmas lights.
Yeah.
I always overdo everything, but for some reason I've gotten into ham radio, and I just don't see a need to be boiling out 1,500 watts of crap everywhere. I don't
either. Either you're going to get through or you're not. And if you're high power, you're going to just, all you're going to be doing is warming up the clouds, and you're still not going to get the way.
Right. Well, all I'm doing is you're going to hear me, but I'm still not going to hear you. I don't think people realize when they first get into all that stuff that it don't do anything for your receive side at all.
No.
So your radio only receives as good as it received before. So if you're just hearing people that you're just talking to now, I don't know what that extra 1,400 watts is going to get you, because you're not going to hear back.
Makes Florida Power and Light a little richer. That's why.
Yeah. And it probably makes your neighbors a lot more annoyed too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to keep them happy. I haven't had any issues yet. I'm keeping all my crap up and away and trying to keep them happy.
When I get on CW, I'll run between 25 and 50 watts. And
yeah.
I try to get down to QRP levels if I can, but the bands have been so lousy lately. QRP just isn't cutting it. So I'm running about, on some of these contests with CW, I've been running about 50 watts. And I've been getting through it. I'm making contacts. Not as many as I'd like, but as crappy as the bands have been lately, it's just doesn't matter how much power I run, still not going to do any better.
Right. Yeah, I don't. When it's bad, it's bad. I actually watched that radio blackout yesterday afternoon happen. It was pretty cool. So, anyway, all right. I always wonder how all these extra videos come up over here. I know, it's like it feeds me a couple more amateur radio videos, and then it feeds me like pawn shop wars, and then it feeds me another one of like defense lawyers and stuff. I'm like, where does it come from, man?
I've gotten to the point where I hate YouTube.
It's a love-hate with me. I love it, but I hate it.
I hate it because you'll want to watch a certain thing and some stupid ad comes up. I got to turn my Pi hole back on. That's a Raspberry Pi that takes ads out.
Well, does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss before I go eat my dinner?
Oh my gosh, I haven't eaten yet.
No, because I get off work at 7 and I turn this on at 7:30, and I live 20 minutes away. So when I get here, I have between 5 and 10 minutes to get this broadcast going and everything. So, yeah. Yeah, so I haven't ate yet. It's no biggie. All right, so does anybody have anything else? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Open a new tab. Here we go. He sent me a better picture. That you can't see for some reason. There it goes. That's a hell of a 70 centimeter beam. I like it.
Yeah. Usually have to lift them.
I like it. And you know what else? If you turn it up to 200 watts, you can put hot dogs on it and cook them.
Yep.
We used to do that. You guys laugh. When we first got our first 800 trunked radios, they were 7 watts. And they had the little curly Q, the mobile radios, the handhelds were 7 watts. The mobile radios were 35 watts. And on the cars, 35 watts at 800 megahertz. Yeah. And they had a little curly Q antenna on the trunk. You guys remember those from years ago? Little curly Q antenna. You could take a hot dog and you push it down over that antenna right down to where the top of the antenna is on the top of the hot dog. Go over to a side channel, key it up, about 35 seconds. It's a perfect hot dog. You just take your bun, put it right around the outside and pull it off the antenna and it's ready to eat.
No.
Yep, used to do them all the time. Out on a brush fire, man, all you need is a pack of hot dogs, man, out on a brush fire and you've got a hot meal. Cooking with radio, man. You do it every time you go to the microwave.
What microwave is 24?
Cooking with radio today on Fox. All right. But anyway, yeah, there you go. So I like that rig. I want to know if you can hit the WX4E repeater with that from Buckingham, because you should be able to.
W4XE. Oh, yeah, I can hit that. I hit that with the omnidirectional.
That one there is a, they just put, for those of you guys that don't know, the CARS, the Charlotte County Amateur Radio Society, just put up a brand new repeater on the WX4E, both VHF and UHF, and the connection to WinLink or Echolink. It's all new. And the new one is at 100 watts. They've got it perfectly tuned on the antennas now and everything. And they're saying they're getting a lot more range on it. It seems clearer for me here too on the 2 meter side. I haven't really tried the 70 centimeter. But what's cool about it, you'll hear when you key off, it'll go doo-doo, or it'll go doo-doo-doo. And I know this is crazy, but if you listen to the last tone, it will tell you if it gives you a third tone, that's telling you that you're cross-banding. If it only gives you 2 tones, it's telling you that you're talking on the same band as the person you're talking with. And if it goes doo-doo, it means you're on 2 meter and they're on 70 meter. And if it goes dee-doo, it means they're on 70 meter and you're on 2 meters. They've got it all on their website. It's crazy. But you can literally listen to the beeps and it tells you everything you need to know about the conversation, I guess. Oh, God. Anyway, it's one of those little fun things, you know. But it works really good. They're doing it even better than the old one. So you should be able to hit that with no problem at all.
What's the frequency?
No idea.
444975.
Yeah, that one.
And the PL tone is 136.5.
Yeah, I think they use the same PL as we do for most of ours. But yeah, it's I'll be honest with you guys, I like the Sunshine Net. I check in about 3 times a week probably, and I'm a backup net controller. I've actually filled in twice. So I like it. It's a 2.5 hours sometimes. It goes from 8:30 all the way till 10 or 10:30 sometimes. Sometimes it's still going on when the traffic net's going on. So, all right. Anything else, guys? Hey, Steve, you should have to wait and eat till I get to eat. I'm going to leave this awkward silence and make him chew his food real fast and then turn the mic on.
Yeah, that's what I just did. Thanks a lot.
That's all right. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what's for dinner tonight. I have no idea. I walked through there and didn't even look. It's sitting on the stove.
Well, I forgot about tonight's net, and Alexa reminded me. So I didn't get to eat a whole lot first.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I've already gotten several people that have wrote me and thanked me for tonight's net already.
Now, Ian, for me to listen to YouTube, to watch this again, because I want to see what I sounded like when I had that mic problem. Do I have to wait for this to do some sort of processing or something, or is it all set and ready to go?
For what?
To watch you.
To watch on YouTube.
Oh no, it's ready to go. If you go to YouTube right now, you can watch this live. I've actually got it up over here on the left screen.
Yeah, well, later on tonight, I want to see what I sounded like when my mic was acting up.
Oh, that was hilarious. If I had the audio hooked up, I'd play it back for you. It was great. You sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Before you left, I was trying to get you to sing "It's Christmas time is here." I really wanted to hear that. That would have been so good. There it is. There it is.
I got it.
There it is. WX4E repeater robot voice.
That's that synthesizer they use.
Yeah.
It's like a standard thing most repeaters have.
So I keep telling one day I'll have my own repeater.
The K04 EFS repeater.
Yeah. Of course, it'd probably be down all the time.
You're doing
everything else I do is down all the time. Yeah, I've been thinking about some kind of listening station too, you know, like you did, you know, where you just monitor a frequency, put it out there, put it on a website.
The remote station?
Yeah, and people can just go to there and hit the stream and begin to stream your audio and then go and call CQ and see if they can hear themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and let it go. But yeah, as far as YouTube, all you have to do once this is over, it may take a few minutes for it to process, but it'll be there right away. You shouldn't have to, I don't have to do, I've made the process now to where it automatically posts. And then all I do is go in the next day and trim up the beginning so that it starts right where I go. Hello, everybody, and welcome. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So you'll just have that little bit. As a matter of fact, when you came in, I think, wasn't that was pre-show, so that might not even be in the recording. But I have that record.
You could probably take that mask required sign and turn it upside down. Masks? What are masks?
Yeah.
You know, it was Halloween.
Hey, I got to tell you, as of Monday morning, we no longer have to wear masks in the broadcast center.
Hey.
Yep. They're going to give us our freedom back. Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Yeah.
They're actually doing it.
No, it's good. It's about the right time. It's a good time.
Well, I was in Pennsylvania last week, and I took my vaccination cards with me because I didn't know if I'd be able to get back the way Tom Wolf is.
Yeah, it's difficult for folks that live in these socialist republic states. It's difficult. Yeah.
What about the Pennsylvania Soviet Socialist Republic?
Yeah, we got a guy that calls the show, Derek from California. He's on every day. He's a loyal listener every day. And when he every now and then when he calls, we always introduce him as Derek, calling from behind enemy lines. Oh my goodness. Because California, man, I'll tell you.
Doesn't have the hammer and sickle, I don't know.
I know. Well, it might as well now. All right. Well, it's 10:30. We've done 2.5 hours. Actually 3 if you count the rag chew at the beginning. All right, guys.
Yeah, it's been 3 hours.
All right, I'm going to let it go. It's been a pleasure as always. I really enjoy doing this every week, and I love it. And I've already gotten an email from Steve. Very happy with the way things went and everything else. So that's good. I think we got a lot of really good information out there tonight. And that was the main thing.
Yeah, we could do some on go box stations and like you said, weather stations like we talked about a while ago. All kinds of things we could get out of it.
Yep. I want to do it. I got we had one guy that was going to come on, but he declined. I don't get that, but I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah, he was offered to come on here. He wanted to come to the group, and we offered him to come on here instead of the meeting, and he didn't want to do it. So, but hopefully, I'm going to find some more folks that want to come in and co-host like Steve did tonight. It's basically an easy gig. You just come in and help me talk about something. So. And the APRS, that's something I know nothing about. And it's on my list coming up as one of the next things I want to learn about. It looks like it's
can be used for your weather station. You can transmit weather reports over.
Yeah, I don't know that much about it at all. I know the guys are using GPSs with it. They're tracking locations. They're doing all kinds of stuff with it, but I really haven't started messing with it yet. I know we even have APRS receivers in town and stuff, so I don't know anything about it. So that's definitely one I want to try to figure out, but I got so much stuff on my plate right now. I still JS8. I went over there for a couple hours the other day. I couldn't find nobody to talk to. I don't know. It's so hard to practice with something when there's no one to talk to, you know?
Yeah, that kind of hurts.
So anyway, all right, guys. Well, everybody have a good night out there. I'm going to go and eat and go to bed. They say you're not supposed to do that, but I don't care what they say. So I don't even know who they are.
Particularly if it's politically correct, then I really don't care.
That's right. Well, I'll chase it with some ice cream, so that way it'll go down good. Yeah, that'll help. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night out there, and we'll see you next week. This is the Southwest Florida TechNet signing off. Good night, everybody.
Sounds good.